coming up on the Lead Ministry Podcast.
Really, you're shooting for 10 minutes. What is the biggest impact we can have? And I will say too, before we get into this, is if you do a huddle and people don't come, there's a reason why.
Now your host, Josh Denhart.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Lead Ministry Podcast. Grateful that you're here. As you know, we are dedicating each and every month to one of the big 12 topics that you need in your ministry toolbox in order to be effective. And so listen, if you're in a ministry context, you know that meetings are an important piece to what you do. You need to make sure that you have your meetings dialed in and you know how to meet with people. Because what are we doing during this meeting time? We're communicating. We're telling them needed information. We're passing on heart or passion or vision. And we're sometimes sending out some really important, kind of patterns that we need them to follow or ways of thinking, right? And there are sometimes with one-on-ones, there's sometimes with larger groups of people. But today we have a very special topic with a very special guest, Mr. Vance Martin. We're talking about VIP meetings. These are Sunday morning, kind of everybody's gathering for little huddles before, it's a VIP huddle before service starts. This is a different type of meeting. Last episode, we talked about how to have an effective one-on-one. That's typically going to be about an hour-long meeting. Now, these are different. This VIP thing is a different type of meeting. It is the VIP Huddle. And as you know, on any of these kind of podcasts that we do, we like to define it. We like to develop it and kind of flesh it out a little bit. And then we're going to have a call to action at the end. And so from a definition standpoint, what is a VIP huddle? Well, it is vision. That's V. It is information, I, and it is a time of prayer, P. Now, there's a double entendre here, right? Because these people that are coming to this meeting, they are very important people. They are VIPs.
Yes, they are. The most important people.
And these are the most important people on a Sunday morning who are going to carry out, this is your whole crew, right? All of your labor in recruiting, all of your labor in training, in retaining people. This is, okay, now we're actually going to go live and we're going to serve some people. And so you are the very important people. And I want to communicate to you in a 5 to 7 minute thing, some quick vision, some quick information, and we're going to pray together.
Yeah. And I would say the setting of this, when we used to implement this in our ministry, and you may have done something similar, Josh, is, our children's ministry was rather large. And so we would typically, the way we started this was all the volunteers for a service. And this happened before every service, 30 minutes before every service is when we would have our huddles. But then we started having kind of age-specific huddles where all elementary team had a huddle, all the preschool team had a huddle, and all the early childhood nursery people had a huddle. And so there's these very specific huddles happening. And then once a month, we would all come together for an all volunteer huddle, and those got huge and awesome. It's okay, we got 100, 150 people in this one big huddle, and you kind of get the feeling of, hey, I'm not alone in this. They're a much bigger team. And so they ran the same playbook. What we found that this was the best way to infuse, in 10 to 15 minutes tops. Really, you're shooting for 10 minutes. What is the biggest impact we can have? And I will say too, before we get into this, is if you do a huddle and people don't come, there's a reason why.
That's right.
So this is, if you want something, it has to be worth the sacrifice of people coming. And if they're not coming, chances are they don't feel like they're missing anything.
I got to tell you, as soon as you were talking about this VIP thing, I knew that this was going to come up. I know that it's in our slide deck coming up on this particular podcast. I know that for a fact. But it's what I call listener train of thought. As I was listening to you, I was like, ooh, But
really going to work?
Where is this really going to work? Is there any hope, or is it going to be me and Connie and Betsy because they're the hyper rule followers who would never miss anything ever, and it's just always us and nobody else shows? We have 50 people that could come, and we've got 3 that do, and they could probably lead it themselves. Well, what you're saying is, if it's valuable to them, they will come. And in terms of vision. And by the way, maybe I'm stealing our own thunder, but what I would say is I have watched leaders try to have a 7-point stop. One piece of vision, one piece of information, and you're praying briefly.
Well, yes, you make it small, but also you got 52 of these a year.
That's what I was going to say. That you only need to share one of these because you're having another one next week.
Yes, that's right. And so, what we used to do, we would take either, an element of our mission, our values, and highlight one of our values, or, it could have been some big recruitment invitation campaign, casting vision around it's the who, what, where, when, and why that we do this, and making sure that people, the whole point of that vision piece, it's inspiration. It's saying, what
this
you
matters.
Do here
what you do matters.
Eternal impact. What you do matters here. So that should be something, and the way that you do this, the way that you communicate it, the way that you carry yourself, all of those things come into play here. And so you might not be the best person to lead these huddles.
Yeah, there's some truth to that as well. So so we got VIP, it's vision, it's information, and it's prayer. We're going to talk about those at a deeper level, right? We want to develop this and take it further. And so vision. God stories are literal vision rocket fuel. And so maybe you heard a story from last week about something super, super cool about a dad. Okay. Here I was. Now, I got to be honest with you. Whenever I do the amazing chemistry show around the country, and we're doing this big family experience where I bring in 170 hands-on science experiences, like a traveling science center, all these volunteers are there. We have ourselves a VIP meeting right before the big event kicks off. And as of late, I'm sharing a God story that took place. And I said, this dad, like 4 shows ago, true story, he came to the amazing chemistry show. He has been super reluctant about anything church whatsoever. And at the end of it, his wife leaned over and said, honey, he just got done saying, what might it look like for you to take next steps at this church? And he goes, you know what? I think I'd try it out on a Sunday morning. Okay, that's a huge move, right? And so that God story helps these volunteers who are running the amazing chemistry show in their mind go, oh my word. So God happened to let this guy Josh know that somebody was moving closer to him, but maybe God wouldn't tell him that. We just need to trust that God is doing that thing. Okay, I'm fired up. I can do this. So it's vision. It's God stories.
It is. And so that this requires, though, I'm always taking notes. And I used to have an Evernote of just God stories. And so it sometimes it's, hey, this is what happened last week. Or sometimes it's just, hey, we want to highlight this specific thing that we do in our ministry, and I want to be able to have a story that's directly connected to that's going to reinforce this, because what you're doing in this moment is you're saying this is who God's called us to be and what He's called us to do, and here's what happens when we respond to that
and do it, and
we act in obedience, and now there's a joining of what we do and what God does. The result of that is things that only God could do. So what that's doing is saying, this is our vision. This is who God's called us to. Here's a story of how somebody embodied that. Here's the result of that.
Beautiful.
So now we want to continue this. We want to, when you go see that the kid that's off in the corner and the volunteer that reaches out to them and they're, clearly having a hard time, but they get them to be in the group. And by the end of the small group time, they're engaged and they're, that is a God sighting. It's the little things that might seem insignificant that you have to, often as leaders, we want to have critical vision. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we can have too critical a vision that we overlook the supernatural in the mundane.
Yep. Hey, everybody, you want to know something cool? Maybe I'm at a national conference and I bump into somebody and they're like, oh my word, Josh, I listened to the podcast and I kind of feel like I know you. Well, that's always a special feeling. And it's a special feeling when somebody reaches out and lets me know that something that we did on the podcast or something that we did along the way has actually benefited them. Well, I want to let you know that the rabbit hole goes far deeper, Alice, and you can join leadministry.com at 3 different levels. Of course, we have the first level, which is free, but then we have at $27.95 a month, you can do like a starter program where you get to come to 12 different monthly webinars. They're packed. You get a bunch of podcast extras. But gang, here's what I want to say. If you're liking what you're hearing, it goes so much deeper. We have 12 full-length courses. We have hundreds of videos that are dialed in just for you and literally thousands of downloads that make ministry easier. What's my job? My job is to create ridiculously practical resources to help make ministry easier. So join today at leadministry.com. Exactly.
And that's what you've got to teach yourself and be not just somebody that tells God's stories, but somebody that is creating a culture of God's storytellers.
I like that. I like that a lot. Well, another piece to this is re-envision your mission, your vision, and your values. And so one thing that we did, is that we had our core values, and often we would just put those on rinse and repeat. And I would just cycle them back through. Hey, don't forget that we are about being able to see the invisible kingdom. And relationships are a way to envision the okay, great. We are all about the gospel, and so then that was a gospel, encourage people that we're about the gospel. Yes. We're about having kids grow deep roots so that their tree isn't blown by and so then I didn't do all 4 of those each week. I would do one and then but we would, because as I think Andy Stanley maybe said one time, vision leaks. And so I'm continually, was that Andy Stanley?
I think so. I think he said vision is a leaky bucket is actually the
quote itself.
You poured in and it just got holes in the bottom.
Yes. And so I want to continue to throw in and remind people. What did Peter say? Peter said, I'm not telling you these things because you don't know them. I'm telling you things because you do know them. And I want to stir you up by way of reminder. And so I wasn't the CEO. I wasn't by the way, CEO is Chief Executive Officer. CFO, I was never the Chief Financial Officer. Josh, I'm the CRO, Chief Reminding Officer.
Yeah.
And I'm reminding people of our vision.
You may feel like, I am a broken record and I am driving these people nuts.
Right.
About the time that you get tired of repeating yourself is about when it starts taking root.
That's exactly right. Now, I got to say, the vision piece is critical, but this idea of information, that is important as well. And here's why. For me, sometimes it was, hey, I wanted to let you know of something unique about today. That when parents come through, we're going to only be able to use that door and this door. We can't use this door this week. Did you all hear me? That door and this door. And so it was maybe special instructions. Maybe
it's Communion Sunday. It's going to be a while.
It's going to be
Buckle
long.
Up, folks.
It's going to be long today. So make sure, whatever. Or I want to make sure that you understand that as soon as service is done, we have this huge ice cream thing that the big church is picking up on. If you don't know that, make sure you come and point out your kids and talk to some kids and their parents, but it's instructions. But I also like this idea of reminder of policy. Hey, guess what? Don't you forget. Now, By the way, I did one of these a week. It wasn't a list of 5 because as soon as you're on the 5th, all the previous 4 have now been forgotten.
Yep. Yeah.
And so it was, don't forget, a quick reminder of information. Here's our bathroom policy. A quick reminder of information, another week. And by the way, Vance, I don't know about you, but I had a laundry list of vision things. I had a laundry list of information. And as I was prepping for these, I would go, which ones do I want to cherry pick and talk about today?
Yes.
Knowing that I had 52 weeks.
Yes. Or you get a schedule and schedule out for the quarter, what you want to talk about. Because often what I found is, because then what I can do is I can say in 6 weeks from now, hey, Susie, can you lead the information part of the huddle and talk about this for us? And so it's a way, if you prepare ahead, that you don't have to be, and you shouldn't be the one leading all of the huddles. It is good to start to model this, but getting a plan and creating a list of all those things is a great way to start.
Absolutely. Well, then you've got V and you've got I. So you got vision, you've got information, and now it's prayer. It's praying for needs and it's praying for the day. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Vance, you can flick me in the beak here on this one. But I'm sorry. I was always just so cautious about opening it up for prayer for people's needs. Now, that sounds so cold-hearted, but the reason that I shied away from that is that we got Uncle Connie's, hangnail. We got this person's. We know that there are physical needs all over Kingdom Come.
Yeah.
But we've got a short, limited amount of time, and we're going to pray for today, for this thing. If you've got needs, please let me know. I'll pause and pray with you as soon as this is done. Now, am I a cold-hearted fool on this one?
In some ways, but I think it is. I think it's all in the way you frame it. You're not giving this is not an open invitation. You give very clear instructions.
So in other words, the results that I was afraid of experiencing was because of a lack of communication as a leader on my part.
So it could be, here's a way to do it. Hey, everybody, if you have a need, I want one word that represents your need.
Poof.
Provision,
Vance.
Healing. Okay, so now we've just covered. We don't need your life stories.
Oh, Vance,
and just say one word that you need, and that's all you need.
Vance, that is so good. That is so funny. I'm glad that I was vulnerable. Like I took a risk. I was like, oh wait, I'm probably. Well, if that's the way that I feel, I'm certain that somebody else feels that way too.
Well, and it's knowing your audience too. Okay, so if I've got 100 people, and then we're doing an all huddle, I might not even say, what do you need prayer for? But if we've got the nursery team that has 15 people that know each other really, really well and are already having a deep relationship with each other, it might be appropriate for them to share, real needs and take 3-4 minutes to talk through. Or better yet, the leader, if they are really in touch with their team,
for sure,
will already know what the true, pressing needs will rise to the top. And
then I don't have to ask. I just, as an informed leader, I pray about those. This is really
Rebecca
really good.
And her family are, she's just got diagnosed with cancer, or this person isn't, or this person's looking for a job. Let's all lift that up.
This is all really good stuff. And I'm glad that I was vulnerable to say that I was very reluctant, but it was because of there's a way to lead that. And you've helped us today. You've helped me. This is good.
Give a sentence.
In a sentence.
Yes.
And so now it's let's do it. How do you execute a VIP? Well, we talked about this earlier, Vance.
We did.
It's make a schedule. And it started with what I called the brain dump. And so I would list out all of the vision things, and I might have 49 of them or something like. Literally, I would have a ton of them, and then I would have a whole bunch of, things that I needed to communicate from an information standpoint. That's great. That was my dump. Okay, great. Then I would actually begin to schedule them into week 4 of November.
Sure. Yeah.
And so just
That's
kind of
it.
pulling it together, I had a brain dump, and then I would then cherry pick those weeks and weeks in advance to make sure that I was covering all of those things. So you got to make a schedule. How about this though? You got to capture stories this week for next week. You spoke about this. Be brief, but tell us what you got on this one. This sounds pretty simple, but it's your Evernote app. Am I right?
That's right. It's just the rolling Evernote. And here's what it's having those stories in my back pocket.
Mm-hmm.
You as a leader should always have a God story in your back pocket. And if it takes you 5 weeks to get another one, you keep that one in your back pocket and you keep using it until you get another one. I'm not just talking about in because this applies well beyond your VIP huddles.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
This is at any time. If one of your primary jobs is representing what God is doing in your ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way to communicate that is the stories of transformation and how God is at work. Mm-hmm. And so it's, what happened? Challenge yourself. Okay, I cannot leave Sunday morning without capturing a story.
And by the way, how do you find stories? You go up to volunteers. Hey, what happened this week? Talk to me about, was there anything special that went down? Like you can actually go mining. You're mining for gold.
Well, once this starts, what I talked about earlier, culture of it is you celebrating these things. People will bring them to you.
That's right. When they know.
I got one. You need to hear about this. And you celebrate that.
You're priming the pump for these people to bring you good stories about what God is doing because you've made it a priority to talk about God's stories. And they're like, hey, I've got a good one. So people will actually come out of the woodwork for these things. Okay.
Oh, and I'll say when they share that story, I'll say, hey, can you share that next week at our huddle? And sometimes they'll say, I'm really afraid. And I'm like, that's cool. I can do it. But how much more powerful it is when you can tee them up in your huddle and, hey, Sarah's got to tell us about the amazing thing that happened last week.
Yes, I love that. I love that a ton. Okay, so you said this earlier. We both had this at the very opening of the podcast. We're like, you're asking people to get up earlier on a Sunday or get there earlier on a Wednesday. But if it adds value, they will come.
That's right.
The converse is true. The converse is true. If all of a sudden it's lame,
true.
You're late, it goes long, they're gonna opt out because it's just not there. Well,
the temptation will be for you to wait until you get enough people to get there.
Oh, that leads us to number 4.
What that does is that erodes the value of the people that got there on time. You start. If you got one person, you start that huddle. And then when people come and you're doing the huddle, that you're training them, I do need to get here on time.
And if it's valuable, guess what? They'll be like, holy smokes, that looked like that was hot. Yes. That looked so inspirational. Yes. I don't want to miss that. So you start on time. And the reason that I love what you just said, you start on time because it's honoring the people who are there, but it's also when the people who are showing up late and it's valuable, that's going to make them go, dang, I missed that.
That's right.
Important.
Yep.
So also end on time. If you are the leader who is chomping at the bit and just carrying on for infinity, and you don't know how to end this thing, this is what I call, Vance, watch this, the 5 B's of a VIP. B's, the letter B. Be brief, brother, be brief. Land the plane. Less is more. We're not looking for a sermon. We're not looking for a sermon here. We're not looking for a 3 point. It's not the point of this. What this is you're throwing out a unit, like one vision thing. You're throwing out one piece of information and you're leaving enough time to have heartfelt prayer. Now, Vance, did you ever turn people loose and have them pray individually with twos of people, or were you usually the person who was praying pastorally?
Oh, it wasn't necessarily me. Because I got to the point where I wasn't leading most of the huddles. I understand.
But what I'm saying
is,
Did you ever have this, like, hey, find a person and you two pray about today?
No, but I think that'd be great. That would be awesome.
Yes.
I love that idea.
And so because it's very easy for the pastor person to grab the mic and to pray, but it's very powerful. And I often think about this. I have this really weird, not really weird, but it's kind of a fun illustration, right, in the Amazing Chemistry Show, where it's pretty simple, but we take a helium-filled balloon and I write a word on it and we let it go. And it's like, wow, our prayers go up, but they don't hit the ceiling. And then the illustration is, now we have 50 people with 50 little balloons, and then they all release and we're literally flooding heaven.
Yeah.
And so
I love that.
I love it when we get these pockets of people praying together. But you did kind of allude to this. Let others lead. Whether it is, hey, you had a God story. Can you share that with us next week? That's a great win right there. And that was, when you said that, I was like, oh, wow, that one was not top of mind for me. I would have just taken the note and shared it myself. But I like the idea that you're inviting somebody to go, hey, would you actually, this is your story. And
yes, it's more powerful.
It is. So I like that. That's letting others lead. It's not necessarily saying, hey, guess what? I'm going to sit back and you're going to lead our total VIP thing. It's, would you lead this portion?
That's the way it starts. And ultimately we'll come to where your leaders and staff and volunteer could lead a whole huddle for a team, or just like anything else, we're trying to develop other people. This is the same thing. You may have to model it for them first, show them how it's done, and then you're going to hand off elements and you're going to coach people in it. Hey, here's how I would have done that differently. When you did you did this really well. Here's something that you should work on. You're coaching people up to do this well. But the ultimate, is let others lead. And then I would say at the end, here's something we always did, but it's everybody coming in, got your hands in, and some kind of phrase. We always shouted the name of our ministry, which was an acronym. So it was just TGA. And it was something fun and silly, but just
high energy.
This high camaraderie. And we're going off and we're going into our,
and that's kind of a way to punctuate the ending. It's a way to punctuate the ending of your meeting. Now, back on this idea of letting other people lead, I think that's really, we could talk for 5 episodes about letting and leading others to lead. But I think that one of my biggest wins that I've had is alerting people 4 weeks out. Hey, I just want to let you know that in 4 weeks, I would love to have you lead this. And they're like this, deer in the headlights. And they're like, whoa, they pull back. And I go, whoa. I'm not asking you to lead it today, buddy. I'm just saying, would you do me the favor of putting on the lenses of what it would look like for you to lead this? Because now they're watching with, I'm going to do this in 4 weeks.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
And so
you're prepping them. You're preparing them.
Yes. So I let them know long in advance, and then we're going to meet together and talk about, and maybe they even run the meeting with me, right? Like they run, they hold a VIP mock meeting to me if they need that. Now listen, Vance, if you were, if I was on your team or you were on my team, we wouldn't need to have you lead a mock meeting to me. You've already got it. You're good to go. Right? But there are some people, this is literally their first run at any kind of a leadership deal. And we need to meet them where they're at and not throw them to the wolves.
I would call it pre-coaching. And so it's, we're going to lead in 4 weeks, but the 4 weeks leading up to that, after that huddle, I pull them aside and say, hey, what did you notice when I talked about vision? When I said this thing, did you see what I did there? Or when this person went off sideways and I gently shut that down and redirected. Did you notice how I did that? And so that's pre-coaching. You can post-coach and say, hey, what you did here was great. But pre-coaching sets the table for them to succeed when they are up to bat.
Yes. Let's never forget, a lot of people don't realize this, that Jesus and his disciples, the disciples that he ended up picking, they were following him for probably 9 months before he selected them as the 12. Often people are thinking like, oh my word, how charismatic was Jesus? He walked up to a complete stranger named Peter and said, I know your name is Peter because I am God. And Peter, come follow me. And Peter blindly drops everything and follows a stranger. It didn't happen that way. Jesus literally had this following. And from that following, in other words, they had been watching him for a long time. And then out of the watching, it was now come to a mountainside and I'm going to like anoint you to go do this. And then we're going to come back and follow around and be back up on a mountaintop. Hey, wow, I sent you out and did this. How'd that go? So there's this beautiful kind of leadership kind of thing, but it's a VIP, right? And these little VIPs, right. They're short, they're condensed. They are a great leadership opportunity for others.
Yes. It's a training ground.
It's a training ground for other great things. Well, Vance, super grateful that you're here. Vision,
yes,
information, and prayer, and how we can be leading these things. This is a type of meeting, and these are important meetings for us to have. Well, gang, grateful that you guys are here. We're grateful for your participation. Now, remember, if you are any level of member with Lead Ministry, we have all of these special podcast extras. And there's going to be follow-up with this. There's going to be resources. So if you are a part of the Lead Ministry membership at any level, you're going to have these extra podcast things that we create for you. Well, gang, we're grateful for you, and we will catch you guys on the next one.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of Lead Ministry Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Make sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and visit leadvolunteers.com for more episodes and resources. Thanks for listening.